Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are and whenever you are. Welcome to the community live stream. My name is Chuck Tomasi from ServiceNow, and this is the show for, what is it today? July 17th, 2019. And this is the show where I bring you not only the answers in the community, but the context, the discovery, the learning, the exploration that goes on behind that so that you can take those skills to your organization and be a more effective ServiceNow administrator and developer. So with that, let's get on with the pre-roll. If you are watching this on YouTube, thank you very much. If not, you might want to look at subscribing. If you find something helpful in the video in the next hour or so, please mark that as helpful. Click that like button so that other people know that there is something of use here. If you've got any comments, love to say hello to you, find out where in the world you are, what the weather is like, and move on from there. We do have this on our YouTube channel. If you turn on the notifications, you will also get, what do you think? Is it going to work this morning? You will also get a notification, something like that, that says, hey, and yes, I'm listening to Ridiculous History at the same time. Not at this very moment, but I was moments before the show. So look for that. Oh, don't want to do that or my hotkeys won't work. Sorry, hit the wrong keyboard, and that could be disastrous. So you can find that and get that notification turned on, and you will know when these are and show up like people like Shane and Carolyn and Mark. Good morning to all of you. Good afternoon in Mark's case. That's why I give that global greeting of good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It may be the middle of the night, and I appreciate that. It feels like it here. It is 6 a.m. in sunny Phoenix, Arizona, and I bring this to you because I love you so much. The Twitch channel, if you want to watch that. Sometimes YouTube video breaks down. We have backup plans in process, but if YouTube isn't behaving itself for you, you can always go over to Twitch and catch the shows for the last couple of weeks. They hang around there. Good morning, John. Love to see everybody showing up. I've got a new routine, Carolyn, to make sure that I'm not muted. She said, just as long as you don't mute yourself. So make sure that I have a note right here on the bottom of my iPad. So when I start playing that music, my finger just travels over to the mute button before it hits refresh on the laptop. So as long as things flow ergonomically, I can fit it into that routine. It's before the camera rolls. It's push this, push that, start this, mute that, unmute that. It's a little crazy on this one-man operation. I feel like the man behind the curtain on The Wizard of Oz. Turn this, push that, dial that, close the curtain. Anyway. Little insight as to what happens back here. Twitch, yes, it's there. If you've got a question about ServiceNow, you got to... I'm watching the animation of my hands on the delay. That was kind of fun. If you've got a question about ServiceNow that is more than just a hello, how are you, then please post that over on the community because that's where the subject matter experts live. It is community.servicenow.com. That's what you see right behind me. It is the community at the URL that you see there, and post in the proper area. If you go up to communities here and you check this, if you don't see what you're looking for, if it's a scripting question, developer and architects, if it's around reporting, performance analytics and reporting, there is an all forums down here at the bottom, which will bring up all the choices, and then you can decide where you really need to post that. That way you get the subject matter experts in that area. Just like going to see a specialist at a doctor. You wouldn't want the foot doctor looking at your throat. There's a joke in there somewhere. I'm not sure what it is yet, but I'll figure it out. Something about putting your foot in your mouth. But use the right community, post only once. I'm sorry, the lower third was in the way when I showed you that all options, but it's on that communities menu. It's in there, trust me. I think that's pretty much it for the community. Let's move on. We also invite you to go over to the developer portal, which is developer.servicenow.com. Free personal developer instance, free learning plans, lots of great information about the scripting APIs, meetup information, other events. Meetups are in full swing in Q3. It is going well. We have lots of meetups around the world. You can find those under the events. Oklahoma City is tomorrow night as we record this. Singapore next week on the 25th. Dallas is the same night. Copenhagen in August. moving out into September. Wow, Minneapolis is really planning out. September. I don't think Phoenix has one, and we wanted to get one in July, but that's probably not going to happen, given that Mike Stockman is currently out of town. But we will do what we can and keep an eye out there for the ones that are officially posted. If you want to join a meetup group, then you can certainly go over to meetup.com/pro/ServiceNow dev program. And there are currently close to 17,000 people around the world, whether you're in Seattle, Sydney, Singapore, Sao Paulo, or Stockholm. There is a chapter there somewhere for you. Notice how I got the 5 S's in there? Yeah, practice that before the show. That's meetup.com is where you can sign up for that. And then when there is one, if there isn't one in your area, certainly reach out to us and we can help you get one organized and work with you on that. After meetups, where do we go? We are going to just do a quick review. Let me put that away and tell you that we had a wonderful Knowledge 19. However, if you missed it or you want to replay it, if you were there and you didn't get to see everything, there is a video library over at knowledge.com. Knowledge.servicenow.com, not knowledge.com, knowledge.servicenow.com. And you can find a video library of all the keynotes, either in their entirety or broken down into sections. There's also a lot of other videos. So URL on the bottom. Also a reminder that next Knowledge in 2020, that's hard to believe already. Wow. 2020 is coming up in Orlando, Florida at the Orange County Convention Center, May 3rd through 7th. So I am counting down the days. Let me get my little counter up there on the screen. And just 291 days. Don't know if I'll have a piñata again next year. Probably something else. You never know. So hope to see you there. It's not too early to start talking about this with your boss. Get it in the budget. Get it planned out. And I didn't get to actually show that. So let me get back over here and put that back on the screen. 291 days with the piñata. With or without the piñata, I'm going. And I did the Alt Tab on the wrong keyboard again. Whew. It's getting a little crazy. Feels like it's been a year since I did this, but I just did one 2 days ago. The green screen does not agree with my cup all that well. Nice cup of herbal tea, ready to go. Are we done yet? Not quite yet, because we do have a webinar coming up. Let me get out of the way so that I don't sit on top of Shridi. We have Tech Now episode 65 coming up, all about automated test framework, testing, custom pages, and parameterized testing. Those are the 2 major features that came out in Madrid. We want to show those to you so that you can be more effective and prolific and proficient with ATF. Catch that on Tuesday, July 30th, which is less than 2 short weeks away. You can go to the link there, bit.ly/TN65Reg. Get signed up for that. And hope to see you there, 8 a.m. Pacific time, or whatever that is in your area of the world. It's just a couple hours after this, so hopefully it's not too late for you if you are far, far, far east of me. Also want to let you know, where do we have? GF, there we go. Oh, my slide is off the screen. Well, it looks kind of weird. We'll see what happens when it comes up on the replay. But code snippets. I redid this slide. The new bit.ly link isn't that crazy random character. It's SN-CLS. I will fix this slide in the next show. I put that new title up there so you could actually see it. But SN-CLS on the bit.ly link is where you can find that repository, just to make it a little easier for you to find. And any code that we write will be held there. Also, I want to remind you, if you are into coding, you can find our new JavaScript. Who's that guy up there? You can find our new JavaScript. I wonder if I can do that pose. There we go. JavaScript video over at sn-learn-js. It will take you to the community, and then you can launch the playlist from there. There's 54 videos in this series to help you get familiar starting from the beginning. Assuming you know nothing about programming and JavaScript, this will help you learn, and been getting some great feedback, lots of views on YouTube on this stuff. So apparently it was well needed and well timed too. Well, could have been earlier for some of you. So look for that. And with that, we will get on with the community. I do this randomly every day. Let's refresh the right screen on the right keyboard. This is a bit ad hoc and ad lib and impromptu, whatever you want to call it. I go into the community and look for something. And then later in the show, I'll come up with a specific topic. We'll do a deep dive on something. I got a couple of things that I learned that I would love to share with you. So hang on for that. ATF create project from template. Don't know if we support project yet. Let's see what this is all about. Can't say I can answer every question. I am a subject matter expert on custom applications, integrations, and the platform in general. So if I'm skipping over questions, it's not because I don't like you. It's just because I don't have anything to contribute. However, I may subscribe to that so I get notifications as things come up and we can explore together. I use ATF to create a project, open new form, PM project table, but I need to choose a template. I get the link to create a project from template, click here attached, but I'm not sure how to click using RTF. That is a very good question. I don't have any instances with PPM installed, so I can't even look into this one, but I do want to know more. Sounds like it's related to UI actions. How do you trigger a UI action from an ATF? Maybe we can ask that question on the Tuesday webinar. Advanced work assignment. Haven't had a lot of exposure to that. It's mainly in the ITSM section so far. It is part of our not sure exactly. It's almost like auto assignment rules on steroids, because you can have multiple input queues and then skills-based routing, availability-based routing, and then get that to the right person. Copy button in MRVS. I don't even know what MRVS is. Let's take a look. Does anybody know how to copy button in MRVS? What is MRVS? If I look in the product documentation over at docs.servicenow.com, MRVS. Multi-row variable set. Okay. That was not intuitive at first. Has anyone implemented a copy button in multi-row variable set? Just simply copying the row above. That's an interesting scenario. I'd like to keep up with that one as well. I don't know. Thanks, John. Never heard it referenced by that acronym before. Please share the link in the chat. If I remember right, YouTube does not allow links, but I could probably type, you're looking for the link for this, bit.ly/sn learn JS or bit.ly/sn CLS. That's the GitHub repo is the latter of those two. Sorry for the distraction in the middle, but how to set a default. Diane Miro is all over multi-row variable sets this morning. How to set a default value in a field MRVS based on another row. Bugs reports when using other system languages. Let's take a look. This one sounds intriguing. I do know a little bit about the internationalization. This is in PA and reporting, so we're a little out of my wheelhouse here. Hello, everybody. I have a display problem with a report. The x-axis should show the months. If I set the language to English, then the report will be displayed correctly. See the appendix. However, if the system language to German, then I have a display error, although I have not changed anything in the report. See the appendix. I tested in Kingston and Madrid instance. So let's grab these two images and see what comes up. Download that one, download this one. They are a little on the small side. Can we blow them up? Yes, we can blow them up. And the x-axis down here for English looks fine. Blow that up. And this one, the Y is fine in German. It looks like January, February, April, August, September, November. It's like some of them are translated and some are not. So it looks like your display values are not translated to all languages. Now the question becomes, where are those? If it's in reporting, you know what we can do? I say we dig into this one. So let me show you something. I don't know if I have any languages turned on. So let's go to System Applications and go to All Available Applications. And I believe I18N brings up our languages. I18N. You could also look for Spanish or something. I'm going to go for Spanish because it's what I know most. I don't know everything about it. So let's say Spanish. There's the Spanish translation. So we're going to give that a plugin and install on my developer instance, free from developer.servicenow.com. And I did hit install, did I not? Yes. Okay. So it says I'm going to turn on the base internationalization plugin. When I turn that on, it's going to install a base plugin that knows how to deal with translations and anything that needs translating in that language. I probably should have done German too, just to do like for like. But let's find out what happens in Spanish. It will at least tell me where those values should be. It's going to be in one of 4 tables. It's either going to be in sys dictionary, sys translated, sys documentation, sys UI message, and I can't remember the 4th one, but we can find out. There is a way to turn on those translations and get a prefix for those labels. You might just need to add the link to description of your video. Yes, I will do that. So let's go on to another one while that one's coming up. This one simply says application. Pretty generic, but curious. Hi, all I have a requirement. Is it possible to count on each instance the number of applications, and for each application the number of custom tables per application and the number of users? That last one could be a little tricky. I know where he's going in terms of licensing on this. So applications can be counted from sys app. I assume you mean custom applications. Custom applications can be counted from sys app. If you've built in the global scope, that gets a little crazier. Scoped tables will begin with X underscore something. Global tables start with U underscore something. And counting users. You may want to take a look at sys user has role to determine which users have a role associated with your app. All right, is our plugin installed yet? We don't know. It's over here. Still installing. These can take a while. That's why I went off and did something else. Oh, hey. We're going to ring the coin. Might just add a link to... Oh, I already read that. Sorry, just checking the comments every once in a while. How to add a filter to the reported service portal. I'm going to leave that one alone. Service portal is not working, not loading properly, especially customized widgets in mobile, either through browser or through ServiceNow Classic application. Question I would like to know is, can you load it on the desktop? We are currently in London version and are developing a service portal in our instance. We observed that service portal pages are not loading properly, specifically if there are any custom widgets on the page in mobile. We have tried it in mobile browsers and ServiceNow Classic applications, but the pages are not loading completely. I've tried to open our instance in ServiceNow Agent app and ServiceNow mobile app. I'm getting there saying the instance you are trying to connect to does not support this mobile app. Contact your admin. Yeah, Agent and mobile, I think, are going to be the next generation of those that are coming out in New York. I didn't think the apps were released yet. Do I need to configure anything else in my instance to enable access to these applications? Have you tried using your desktop browser in a mobile format? E.g., make sure the widget is responsive and examine the console log to see if you have any errors. Hey, the fingers are working pretty well so far today. Discovery problem sensor, how to populate categories and description in a request. When a user creates a request from the portal, how to populate categories and description in a request when a user creates a request from the portal with a widget. The widget would have to do something special. Hi, friends. I've got a requirement where I need to recreate a new joiner in Portal. Not sure what a joiner is. So I created, instead of using the order guide, using the widget because the order guide won't work in Service Portal. So I created a widget and getting all the existing catalog items from the portal and displaying in a new joiner widget. Oh, okay. Here I got a problem. After raising a request, creating a blank ticket which is not populating, the category 1, category 2, and the description and short description are not populating. I need a solution on how to populate. Question, yeah, without sharing some code, screenshots and code would be appreciated here to better understand what is not happening. Kind of a vague description, just saying, hey, doc, it hurts. We don't even know if it's your arm or your leg. Virtual agent, live chat, ATF client. Trying to go through some of these. Again, I'm not skipping over them because I don't like you. SQL open query. ServiceNow multi-SSO. Workday full sync failing. Some of these are quite old. I say we do a refresh. See if there's anything new. Prefix for those values that doesn't have a translation properly inside system localization. Yep, that's why I'm trying to get the plugin turned on. Boy, this is taking an awful long time. Okay. Get back to where we were. If I don't see anything new, I'm going to go on with my populate records in a related list. I'm going to go on with my deep dive topics. Hi all, I have a custom table for creating tasks and dispose of the assets. So through a script, I'm checking what all assets I need to dispose, and if it is above a certain threshold, then I will insert a record in my custom asset table. This is done. Now on the asset task form, I have a related list which shows all the assets which need to be disposed of. Need help on how to populate the assets in the related list field. Please find the below script which I am using to insert the asset task in the asset task table. So stockroom is a new glide record of ALM stockroom. It does a query of all records. And for each stockroom record, he goes and does an ALM hardware where substatus is pending disposal and gets the stockroom sys to get the hardware record. The question is, does an insert on US at task and uses the stockroom sys. Okay, so on this script, I also have the assets which need to be disposed of. Formatting is a little off on this. I wonder if I can run it through a JS beautifier to make it a little easier to read. So I'm not sure I'm reading this quite right. JS beautify. We can find an online JavaScript beautifier. Beautify the code. Looks good. Let's go put that into VS Code and see what we get. Okay. Put this away so we can see. So var stockroom is ALM stockroom. Does a tech M. What is it doing or not doing? Because for each stockroom record, then he's going to do a query on disposal count for that parent record. So I'm assuming that ALM hardware is connected to ALM stockroom through the stockroom field. Yep. Just orienting myself to what the data model looks like. Well, the count is, so I'm not sure why we're doing this I+1 and for each one. For each list he's going into, he's starting over. So he doesn't keep appending it. And then he inserts this with a U stockroom task type description. I'm not quite sure what it's doing or not doing. Yeah, what issue are you facing? Event is triggering, but no email is sent. You have given anything. I was going to ask the same thing. What's the issue or problem here? The script looks functional, albeit I would have made a few modifications to optimize something. Let's see what comes back from that. All right, I am going to do one more quick refresh, see if there's anything new, and do a quick scan to see if there's anything that piques my interest. Populate records and related lists, we just got that one. Ticket link in an email notification. We have one reply on that one. Let's see. My requirement is below. When any blank field value will be populated in a table, one ticket will be created and notification will be triggered to the application, which should contain the link to the ticket to fill the blank field value in on the table. So what issue are you facing? Again, if you want to include a link to the record in the body, then URI_ref is the way to go. That will put in the display value. If you just put in URI, it will put in the word link, LINK. But if you use this, it will say the display value, INC00100090, something like that. So Anchor is all over these today. I'm going to keep an eye on that one too, see what the response comes back. All right, let's go into a couple of topics that I wanted to show you that I did not get a chance to. Wait, this thing's still running? That seems a little excessive, but we'll come back to it later. I'm going to have to use a different instance. Different instance to show you this one, something that I haven't messed around with yet. And I believe this will do it. Get the password in there. Don't need my beautifier anymore. What I wanted to show you is a way to manage your favorites. So favorites are nothing new. They used to be called bookmarks way back in an older interface. And we have several of them. You could go through these lists. And for example, I often take Studio and favorite that. You just click the star over here. It doesn't show up till you get near it. I often do scripts background, bookmark that. I often do some of the developer tools like REST API Explorer is another one. System logs. All is one of my favorites that I use. I jump to the logs a lot of the time. You get the idea. Service portal configuration is another one that I favorite. Script debugger. Script debugger. So after a while, you get this collection of favorites, and it's all on one level. And it can be a little confusing. Plus, you might have an application in there. I can tell from the dashboard that I've got this loaner application, and I might have something under administration. Oh, there's another one. sys_properties. You don't necessarily have to pick them from the menu over on the side. You can take any one of these and drag it to the favorites, and now I've got sysproperties all. You could take a specific record. Maybe I've got a favorite incident that I've been using to test something. When I'm in that record, I can add favorites this way too. From within the record, you can click the menu item and say, create favorite. And it will say, oh, what do you want to call it? And what icon do you want? Let's put a light bulb on that and make it orange. Okay. And now I have yet another favorite. And it came to my attention at Knowledge that there is another table. In fact, you can take an entire menu. Maybe, I don't know if it's on this instance. It is. You could take an entire application menu and star that. And it takes all of the modules under that and puts them into a collapsible thing. Hey, that's pretty nice, right? Now I've got everything. Now as I add modules, they don't automatically get added as favorites. So we're going to take advantage of this collapsible thing to organize our other favorites. There's a couple of things you need to know. One is, what is the name of this favorites table? And that is called sysui bookmark, singular. And I can get there with SysUI bookmark list and find all of the ones for me. And it will show you in order. I did show matching. Thank you. In order, because I'm sorting on the order column, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, several of them. And it ends with all issues. Sure enough, it ends with all issues. But what is this safety thing in here? I don't see that. How did that get there? And how are these related to that? Because if I change the order, it will impact that. Let me take a quick refresher. There we are. Yes, I think I said that, John. If you add if you add modules to an application over here, the favorites do not automatically get updated. I would have to keep doing that. So I generally don't do entire applications unless I'm doing a quick demo, but I don't feel that represents the demo accurately by having them all pre-favorited. So anyway, the second piece of that is understanding what these collapsible menus, how are those controlled? That is done through another table called SysUI bookmark _ group. And there is my safety. Let's just find the ones for me. And it says, Chuck, you have one and only one of these groups. Sure enough, there it is. Well, if I can do that for an application, then I should be able to create my own. So let's call one. We don't have an application. We don't need an application. We don't want an application. That's what identifies this and ties it back to that particular application menu. So I'm not using one of these application menus. I'm going to basically create my own favorite grouping, call it Dev Tools. And then I can put that at order, we'll say 1. Could pick your color, but I don't see any benefit of colors here. Submit that. I'm going to create another one called Loner and put that at order 2. Okay, now I've got a couple of these. So when I go over to in fact, you know what? Here's another trick. Let's create another one called Manage Bookmarks. And I will put that at order 3. You'll see why I did that in a second. So I have 4 of these now. And if I refresh, what do I see? Dev Tools is a group. Loner is a group. Manage Bookmarks is a group. And Safety is a group. But there's nothing under them. So how do you get the bookmarks into the group? It's going to be a reference field, because I can take a look at one of these in SysUI bookmark. Let's take the bookmark groups, move that over here, because I'm going to want that to manage my groups. That's going to be one of the things that I'm going to have under Manage Bookmarks. The other one, of course, is going to be Sys. So I don't have to keep typing this. Somehow I accidentally hit caps. And fingers on the right keys, SysUI bookmark.list. Let's go back here. And we'll save that for later as well. So now I've got a whole bunch of stuff in here that I need to now organize. What is that magic field that links these two together? It's called group. Not surprisingly, a bookmark goes in a group. And if I place that on my list, it's way out here. I don't like that. Let's move it. Needs to be easier to find. First of all, fly out with our UI14 constructs that don't exist anymore. So I am going to move that next to the title of this. And what you will see, unfortunately, is a sysid. Anyone in the chat know why we would see a sysid in a list like this? Come on, there's one obvious answer here. Why do I see a sysid? Because it makes it very difficult to say, go put my, let's look at just my groups, show matching. Go put my studio into the Dev Tools. And I can't pick which one is Dev Tools. Okay, that's just pathetically wrong. All right. The answer is sysui bookmark group does not have a display value on the table. So what I need to do is be in the global scope, go and configure the table to make one of the columns in the group table the display value, which I'm going to go out on a limb and say title is a really good one. So we make that true. And now this obviously isn't something you're going to launch on your end users right away, but it is an option for you savvy administrators. Now if I go back to sysui bookmark, did I not save that? Let's update that record. And go back to sysui bookmark. Now you know why I brought these out. And in fact, I can edit those to make them a little more friendly, to say bookmarks, and here we can even call it favorites. Favorite group, my favorites groups. And you know what? When I did this, I really should have filtered on just mine, because I really don't need everybody else's. So let's get show matching, do a better filter. So it's just mine, get rid of that one, rename this one to my favorites. Okay, you get the idea. You could sit here and rename them all day. Maybe it's not Sys Application Studio, it's just Studio. If you haven't done this kind of editing before, it's kind of fun. You don't even have to hit done every time. You just come down here and go scripts background. I don't need the application in there, and it changes in real time. You can see scripts background just updated. REST API Explorer. Ding. See how it changes on the side? I leave system logs all there because I think it looks nicer. Put that there, and on and on and on. You could get loaner request properties. We'll do that, but you get the idea. Now that I've prettied these bookmarks up for myself, let's put them into a group. And this is as simple as going, where do you want Studio? I want Studio in my DevTools. Ding. I want SFDC contract. I don't even know where that goes. I'm not putting it anywhere. Scripts background in DevTools. Now, there is no reference qualifier on here, so be aware that if I click this, it's going to show me all the groups. Hey, where's my display value? Well, because it didn't have one, it showed sysid. So another thing you might want to do here is configure the list layout, in case you do hit that magnifying glass and don't remember what your group names are. Come on, configure list layout. It's not going to let me do it from here, is it? That's unfortunate. But what you can do is go to the groups table and come on, my favorites groups. Am I waiting? I'm waiting. The instance is just being really slow. Configure list layout here. There is a view which you can call sysref list and say, what do I want on the sysref list? I want the title and the order, and we'll leave it at that. Okay. So that when I get back to my favorites and I click the magnifying glass on REST API Explorer, I have, gonna do it for me? There we go. Mine. Another secret about the pop-up windows use a view called sys_ref_list. So you can tailor this different than a default list view. If all you wanted was the title on here, that's fine. So this makes it easy for me to go, I can't do that. I can't do a right click. Apparently it's not the same list widget. But I was working with REST API Explorer in DevTools. Could I put a reference qualifier on there to say, only show me the ones for me? Absolutely. Yeah. In fact, I'm going to do that just as a simple event. Why would I want to put something in somebody else's group? That wouldn't make any sense if my bookmark was in their group. So let's open that bookmark record. And I would need to then make sure that the This form has not been administered in a long, long time. So I would need to make sure that the group field is on there somewhere. And easy way to do that, fly out with and fly out mean nothing. Pinned means nothing anymore. A lot of these are UI 14 things, tells you how long we haven't touched that form. Take a look at that, reload it, and it's a little more modern. Title should probably be at the top, but you get the idea. Let's configure the dictionary. And I could put a reference qualifier on here that says user is dynamic me. And that way, when it comes up with my favorite groups, my favorites, I've already defined my groups. I set that display value to title. And now when I go down here to manage this stuff, system logs all, for example, and I click the magnifying glass, it is just my groups, much easier to see. So I want that one under DevTools, and you can keep going like this. Let's make another one for Loner. You want to see the end result, don't you? Loner, put that one under Loner, put this one, and you're going, but Chuck, what about these orders? Don't worry about them. They sort themselves out. They're already ordered in whether it's 1, 2, 3, or 8, 9, 10, they're going to come out in that order. It doesn't have to always start at 1. That one's Loner. Usually I only have about 3 or 4 of these things on the screen. Sys properties would go under DevTools probably. You get the idea. And then my favorites, I'm going to put under manage bookmarks and manage bookmarks. I probably should have called that manage favorites, but that's okay. Now when I reload, I have DevTools, I have Loner, I have bookmarks, etc., etc. I have safety. Makes it a little easier. I'd probably put all this other stuff in a miscellaneous or an errata or random group, but now I get to Studio and I put it away. I can keep this menu a lot cleaner. There's no separators in here. Unfortunately, you can't go one level deeper, much like you do under, say, system policy, events, and make this kind of thing collapsible. That would be nice. I would like to see a more effective way of managing these things. But for now, if you know the secret tables, sysui bookmark and sysui bookmark group, you can modify the dictionary, modify the reference qualifier if you want, do a little list layout thing. I only personalized this. I did not do the list layout, the whole 9 yards, but you could if you have other administrators that want to do this. And have at it. That's a pretty fun and effective way of doing that I've started employing. Now, obviously, you could also export the XML and carry these along from system to system, as long as somebody hasn't created something that conflicts with that, or just keep in your mind that sysids are going to have to match all that good stuff. So that's a fun way to do that. That's something I picked up at Knowledge from somebody who was asking for an enhancement request. I said, I didn't even know about that group table. It makes logical sense that it's there because somehow this thing has to work. And they sort of reverse engineered it and went, how does this thing work? And took it to, oh, I can make my own. So leave that application field empty. The other thing I want to show you is around script includes. This thing was actually really kind of cool. Goran called me up late Monday, I think it was, and said, Chuck, I've got a question. He saw this random dotted constant in a script include. I wish I'd prepared with a little better script so I could walk you through this, but I'm going to have to build this all by hand. He saw this random script include. Now this works in scoped or not. Did my plugin ever get activated? I'm going to have to look into that. That's just kind of bizarre. Let's close the Form Designer, and I am going to, look, I've got DevTools Studio right at my fingertips. And you know what? I rarely, if ever, use Home, so I delete that. And this instance has been used a bit. So let's create, I might have even cloned this from somewhere else. I'm going to call this CLS for Community Livestream. And go ahead and create that application. This is a Madrid instance, patch 4, I believe. Waiting. Okay, let's go ahead and create my CLS application. And in there, I am going to create server development script include. What he saw went something like this. I'm going to call this one YouTube. Let's say I'm writing a script include that's going to do an integration with YouTube. So I have my fully qualified API name. Now, what you may have seen me do in the past is something like comment table. Put these constants out here, equals x ADAM CLS comment, okay? Or episode table equals x ADAM CLS episode. As I write these, this makes it easier for me in a function. Let's write a quick function. Make that a little higher so you can see it. Let's get comments function, and in there I'm going to have some parameter. All right, we'll assume that looks like a normal function, and what you often see is we will insert function. There's probably going to be a better one called insert comment. Okay, and then what I'll often do is var comment gr equals new glide record comment table. This stands out in my mind. When I read this, I go, oh, that's not just a regular variable. That's one of my constants. I am going to spot that a mile away. And should I ever have to update comment, make another one, should I ever have to change the table name, it's done once at the top of the script include. Okay, this is just something that I've latched onto recently. Note the placement of these, though. They have to go between the class create, or excuse me, outside of the prototype. I generally put them up at the top because that's, as traditional programming, top-down programming used to do, is put your constants at the top so people recognize what they mean. They are not preceded by var. They are not preceded by this. It is just a constant. Part of the, we're taking advantage of something in the prototype framework. And again, here I could do another var comment gr equals new glide record. See if we can type today, record comment table. I have had situations where I've needed to take this from my personal developer instance and recreate it on another instance, and I get another scope. And going through and doing a search and replace would be easy enough, but going through and doing a quick one-time replace is even easier and clearer to me. You could also have additional things up here as constants. The problem I have is when I need to address those same tables in another script include, or outside of the script include, if I need to access those tables, maybe from a scripted REST API. Let's do another script include and say, maybe this one is AWS, and I'm still using those same tables, and I put those here. And I might even have a third one called instance table equals x ADEM CLS instance. Okay, each one has its own set of tailored constants. How do I manage those constants, maybe even some properties, maybe even something else, in a more unified approach? Okay, you probably don't see it there, but if I went to inbound integrations, scripted REST API, double click that, and was building something, and maybe it didn't even involve one of these. Call it hello, very poorly named. Save that and create a new resource for it. My resource is going to have a script, and the script says, oh, remember me? I used to work with the episode table. Well, now I'm forced to do something like var episode gr equals new glide record x ADEM CLS episode. Okay. This is standing all alone. So if I'm really looking to unify this, I've failed. I have the same table defined in 3 different places, possibly even more. Yes, a code search in here might turn that up, but there are places that code search doesn't reach yet. So the solution that Goran turned me to unintentionally, he pointed me to an example where somebody did a script include. And this is kind of cool. This is the part that I wanted to show you. This is really very helpful. Is call it, where is it? I'm going to call this CLS constants. You call it whatever you want as long as it makes sense. And I get a scope name. Notice this is available from this application scope only. Normally when I do this, it's within a scope. So you don't have to use the full scope name. You decide what you want. Otherwise, you could leave the CLS off and just call it constants or address it as, because this part really kind of bothers me, that the scope and the comments are in there. But for readability, I'm going to leave it the way it is. Now, in here, either be somewhere outside the prototype. His example had it actually down here, which I thought was interesting. Oh, not even down there. It was outside the prototype at the bottom. He took the tables and went like this. Well, he didn't do this, but the example had him constructed more like this. What's the point of that? How is that addressable? Well, it's addressable because there's really no code in here, so I'm not instantiating anything. In fact, I could do away with that, unless, of course, I wanted to put some functions in there as well. But let's just create that class. What it's going to do for me is allow me to address the variables not as comment table, but as CLS constants comment table. And that can then replace these. I now have an overarching, it's an on-demand included script include. If you go way back to Tech Now episode 6, we showed how you could replace a global business rule with a function. And that class isn't instantiated, it's just known as needed. When the system goes to gets a function or a constant or something it doesn't understand, it goes, do I have a script include that covers that? Oh, I hope so. And I don't instantiate it, so there's no new to say I need our new constants, or I'm going to create a new class of constants. They're just there. Very, very helpful that I can paste that in and use them as needed. I'm going to show you something in just a sec to prove this is working. Same thing. I never put them in AWS, but if I had a function there, I'd use it. But my scripted REST API could also use that as well. So I don't need to hard code this. Anything in quotes should make you go, is there a better way? This one wasn't this was the episode table. In fact, this would be a fun exercise. Let's just do, instead of instantiating this glide record, we'll do a GS dot. Here, we'll just return. We can return a string, one of the world's lamest scripted REST APIs. It's going to be a get, right? It's a get. Save that. Following mandatory field. Get name. Fine. Call it that, just so we have a name on it. And through the REST API Explorer, I'm going to prove this is going to work with my CLS constants episode table. Fingers crossed, this is live. I go to the REST API Explorer. It automatically brings this up. Explore. And there's no query parameters, there's no nothing. All I just do is send. And in the result, I get nothing. Let's go to scripts background. Look at that. Good thing I prepared all that. gs.info, CLS. I'm in the right scope because this is only available from this scope. Constants.comment table. I should get a constant. Undefined. Why is it not available? CLS constants is a script include. Did I spell it right? I spelled it right. Just to make sure. This application only, it doesn't have to be client callable. Let's go back to Let me take this, delete that, and if I remember right, let's do this again. I may need to leave the prototype in there for whatever reason. I went one step further that was off script. I know it's not scripted, but I do want to show you what happens if you do this. I'm glad I made a mistake. Actually, it shows you something interesting in case you make the same mistake. I'm just experimenting. What can we leave in? What can we leave out? CLS constants creates this, and we put that down there, format it, comment table. Expected curly brace. Oops, this should go outside of the prototype definition. There's one mistake that we don't want to make. Put that there. Align it, submit it, try our skips background again. Still says undefined. I tell you, this was working yesterday or Monday. And it's working in my other, you know what we could do? We could go look there because I retrofitted something. As soon as he said that, I immediately ran to my instance that gets comments for this show and some other things. So if I look at my community live stream application, it will show exactly what is working, not what is not working. At least I believe it was working. So server development, script include, I now have CLS constants. I'm not making this stuff up. And in here, I have below the prototype, I have to have the full name in here. That's what's wrong. It's CLS. See, again, I'm glad we run into these things so that I can CLS constants. You need the class name in here. Learn from my mistakes. It's faster that way. Now when I put this in and I go to scripts background, I have access to that no matter where I am. Whether it's in scripts background, a workflow script, UI action, scripted REST API, or another script include. That makes total sense. So that those constants, as I address them as, it knows. I now have a universal way to do something a little more broad, including API keys from properties, constructing a variable called this server. Let's concatenate a bunch of things that includes properties. Let's go and define an endpoint because the endpoint isn't going to change throughout my application and it may be used in multiple script includes. Well, let's use those endpoints and make it easy to go in and say, these are my definitions for this application. You may keep some of them in properties. Properties are fine. This is code. Don't put everything, don't hard code the code. Don't put sysids in here. Don't put actual values that you may need to change between dev and production or change in production should somebody's name change or group name change or assignment. Use properties as properties are intended, but you can get those properties and manage the values and use them across multiple scripts by building one of these definition classes, as I'm going to call them. I don't know what they're really called. So that's my other lesson for you today. One is bookmarks and one is a definition script include that you can use in these constants. So key takeaways, make it easy to remember what the name is. Up to you whether you want to make it available from this scope or all scopes. And don't forget to put the CLS constants in front of whatever that variable name is. Then when you use it, it will be used as just, it's almost like a system constant. It's pretty cool. I could, in fact, put in the whole X, S, and C, ADEM, CLS constants, and it will still work. So if I'm addressing it from outside of this CLS scope, I would have to put that in there, in which case I really don't care for this. I would just probably call it constants because I'm a lazy person when it comes to my script includes. I assume that when I'm in the script, it knows what it's talking about. It's as you start building applications that include more than one script include, like this one for the CLS application that's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's things I need to know across all of them. Table names seem to be the most abundant, but you'll find other ones. Again, whenever you put something in a quote, you should be thinking, is there a different or better or manageable way to do this? Sometimes it's gs.getMessage if you want to translate a message. Sometimes it's gs.getProperty. Sometimes it's go look this up in a table. sometimes it's one of these constants. So those quotes should be kind of evil to you. Use them as little as possible, and your life will be better for managing and maintaining your implementations, your configurations, your code, and your custom applications later. So that's going to do it. I can tell my voice is starting to wear out. Going to do it for today. Thank you for joining me. It's been very fun and informative. I look forward to seeing you again the next time. If you've learned something, don't forget to click the like button on YouTube or the helpful link in the community to let other people know there was something there that you found interesting. Appreciate it very much. And if you learned something, go ahead and share it, because that makes the whole world a better place and you will be helpful. So, till next time, bye.